From the Spacebird Media Studios, it's Roxanne and Ace Unlimited.
Welcome to Roxanne and Ace Unlimited. That means you made it to Friday. The weekend is here, and maybe for most of you, if you had Columbus Day off, it's been a short work week, so woohoo! But so glad to be back. We are just a couple of radio friends that love doing what we do, but we love Jesus even more, and it gives us a chance to really celebrate each and every Friday. So we want to thank My Brother's Cup and Birmingham Mortgage Group for making it possible. Roxanne, how's your week?
Hey, I'm doing great. Looking so forward to talking to Tara Seahorn. In this podcast, an amazing writer. Her story about her and her husband has been admitted as part of a big book on prayer that's being sent out nationally. And so we're excited to have her. I'm loving the cooler weather. How about you?
Thank you. Yes. I think it's one of those, the whole sweater weather, like that whole joke from SNL is 100% where I think the sentiment, especially for those of us in the South, it was hot this summer. Like I was, and it seemed to linger. Like there was just like you thought like you'd have a crisp morning and then it would be steaming by the afternoon. I'm like, no, stop. And then why is daylight savings time so much later this year? Like, why are we ending it in November? Like we're done. Like the moon is out while the sun is still up. That's not right.
I know, it's so odd, and everything in my garden is still percolating. I mean, I have tomatoes. I have a big cantaloupe coming in.
All right.
I mean, there's a lot going on. My sunflowers are blooming. It's October. It's crazy fun, but I love that. But I am looking forward to snow. I want it to snow like crazy this year.
Oh, I don't know that I want that. I did want to ask, though, are you like a pumpkin person? Like, do you like to do pumpkins on the porch? Not necessarily a jack-o'-lantern, but just to add to the fall.
If you saw this house right now, it's like...
I mean, I've always said it looks like Better Home and Gardens cover. I mean, every time I've ever been over for some kind of anything, it always looks like it's a magazine cover.
You're so sweet. Yes. So we are fall festivaled out. Wayne would rather it be Halloween heavy theme, but I stick to fall festival. But yes, how about you?
The most we've done is we have a fall, like leafy kind of runner on our table, and that's about it. So but my wife has gotten really into potted plants over the last several months. And so we, for her birthday, the kids and I got her like, a plant shelf, so to speak. It's not a shelf, but it's like a cool little planter with like multi-tier things. And so she's got all these different ones, and some have like long leafy laying, and some are like perky and, smiling at you. And so she's loving the fact that her green thumb is coming in. It's about as fall as I think we'll get. Now, of course, once we get closer to Thanksgiving, then it's all pimped out and, ready for the festive holiday that I love so much. But in the meantime, we're in show mode, and it's everybody's, in different directions. I'm doing games, they're doing shows and rehearsals. And so we pass each other in the hall and go, hi, love you. And see you tonight, maybe.
I get it. But, being busy, that keeps the kids out of trouble, I think.
It is
keeps
true.
them occupied. It's like when Hannah could have ice skating lessons, go, go do it. There is one simple trick to stop worrying about the future, and that is to trust God. It's so important to do that. And I was whining and groaning and talking about God, about an ongoing issue that didn't seem to get healed. I didn't know what he wanted me to do with it. And I could hear in my spirit him telling me, worry about today.
Yeah.
When we worry so much about the outcome of the future, we're not trusting him. And when we ruminate in the past, that's the prescription for pain. We just can't do it.
Well, and I know I was talking with a friend earlier this week about this, and the fact that a lot of times, the waiting on God to work in a situation is indeed the hardest. It's just like the Tom Petty song, right? But it's in the waiting that we're in that cocoon-like atmosphere of, learning to trust him, finding peace in, and then if anything, I like to get in a place of excitement of, I don't know how this is going to work out, but Lord, I can't wait to see you show out. So and I'm not saying that's always where I'm at or that it's always the easiest, but that's the way to remove the worry, because I could worry to death and it's still not going to change the speed at which he chooses to work.
When I think about Jesus and his earthly ministry, I think Jesus was chill. If anybody had a reason to be worried, all these people wanted to kill him. That's one of them. He knew his friend was going to betray him. He was doing things never done before. He wasn't getting a paycheck.
Sure.
I mean, if there was any reason to be worried, it would be him. And yet I think he just knew his purpose, lived in that, took his troubles to God, went off on his own to pray, and realized that he can trust ultimately his Father, which is our Father.
Amen.
And so, but I have to remind myself, just worry about today. Tomorrow has worries of its own. Specific signs that you are in a rare relationship that will truly last. Oh, this is so good.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I haven't really thought about before is their friends are your friends. Like, I really feel like, well, I know he was. Wayne was super pumped to see you when we visited your church where you're the worship leader.
Yeah.
He just was like, I get to see Ace. And I love that because he knows what's important to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, and what's funny too is some of our common friends, if I see them without you, they're always like, how's Roxanne? Because they know, every week we're spending time together, we're catching up, we're talking through the week. So they know, what we do allows us even easier to stay connected. But yeah, it's great because again, you don't want the opposite of that. Well, if she's going to hang out with the friends that you don't like or they don't like you, so that's a whole nother level. The part of this list that I was glad to see, because Tony and I still do this, we're about to hit our 5th wedding anniversary, and we still make each other laugh. And it could be over the simplest things. It could be over inside jokes. It could be a recounting of something that happened, but we're kind of playing it up bigger than it really was, just to kind of lighten maybe what was a serious situation.
Yeah, it really matters that you're laughing. Keep your arguments constructive. Don't do that silent treatment stuff. Don't start screaming. Just play it fair. I think that's important. This is a good one on the list. They make you want to be a better person. Yeah. And I've admitted this publicly. Very occasionally, it will irritate me how good my husband is.
Sure.
I mean, if you really want to look for faults, you're going to have to look a long time. I mean, he's that good.
Yeah.
But it raises the bar for me.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too, the way I kind of see these two together, and not only, constructively fighting, but then also, seeing and making each other better. Like, I don't really function well, and my wife would say the same thing because we just had this discussion on Saturday. When we're kind of not clicking like we normally do, it throws everything off. Like, everything feels weird. Food tastes different. I don't want to sleep. Like, it's just until the conflict is resolved or we've come to some kind of, hey, this happened and it made me feel this way, and you did this and I did this, and and then you own your stuff, and then you can move on. Because I told her, and present company not included, most people bother me. And so she's the one person that I know I can go to and just be me. Right. And so, she would say the same, but I think that's what marriage is, right? You're allowed to, you and Wayne go to each other for all your ugly things, and you love each other, and it's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. So is the power of Jesus' blood. As we look at Ephesians 1:7, in him we have redemption through his blood, the forgiveness of sins, according to the riches of his grace. If the enemy can get you to believe the lie that you are not completely forgiven, that there's some stuff you're holding on to, and God's mad at you, but remember what you did then. Yeah, you've asked to be forgiven, but wow, that wasn't those kind of thoughts.
Yep.
Here's the thing. When you feel condemned, that's not of God. And when you feel condemned, I think it leads to failure. None of that is about our Savior.
Yeah. It's so true. Well, and I believe too, the enemy wants nothing more than for us to doubt our relationship with God. And even that because, God oftentimes is silent when we're waiting on him, to go back to what we were saying earlier. So it's in those moments that he can get into our head easily, or even our own prideful thoughts. Well, he's not loving me. He doesn't care about me. I don't even like to give the devil credit for that. I'm perfectly guilty of accusing my own Lord of just abandoning me when he's right there. But I am choosing to just be an toddler tantrum, and I want it, and I want it now, and I want it this way, and that's the beautiful thing about the fact, and just the way that our kids act that way when they're, acting out. We forgive them. We show them grace. Sometimes it's comical after the fact, maybe not in the moment, or when you're in a storefront trying to check out, $200 worth of food for the week. But in those moments, think about God doing that same thing, because how many times do we flail and, oh, Lord, please let me have this, and I'll never ask for another thing again. But, God knows we're going to ask for other things. If anything, he's like, yeah, right. So I love that the beautiful thing about Christ's blood is that it gives grace and it gives peace. And we just need to fall into that in order to be able to enjoy it.
Well, I have peace of mind about the way I got into my home. Now, I don't like going through the mortgage process. It's like, someone looking in your molars. It's painful. It's embarrassing. It can be. It's tough. Yet when you've got Birmingham Mortgage Group, wow, it was smooth. Yes. And I can be irritating because I want to ask a lot of questions. And Terren Newell, wow, he answers them and he gets after it. And I don't want to pay a lot of money. I want to be frugal.
Most people
don't. And he
Yeah.
finds the greatest rate for you.
Yeah, it's amazing because
and so we highly recommend it.
Well, and you and I are prime examples of situations where finances were awful, and so the opportunity for us to be able to finally get into a house that was perfect and it was everything we needed. He found the programs that we definitely needed. So if you want to find out more about it, easy to do. Go to bhammortgage.com or call him and get that pre-approval, 205-259-1656.
So I saw this beautiful woman on TikTok who said, never, ever, ever do this. And then she showed the devastation of her house. They had a horrible overnight fire. They almost didn't get out with their lives. It was awful. They had a lot of kids and pets, and they survived. What did she do? She set her dishwasher to run overnight. And she said, don't do it. Don't do it. Because if you're awake during the day, if it decides to catch on fire, that's a good thing. But overnight, and I can't even tell you the trillions of times I've been running mine overnight.
Same. I worry more about the dryer. Like we have a running rule in the house that if something's not dry and you got to leave for work or church or whatever, you turn off the dryer and then you come home and you restart it. But I never once thought that the dishwasher was a concern.
But there it is. And she sent out a warning. And a lot of the house fires are caused by electrical things. And they say, obviously, if your appliance is old, be thinking about that. Our hot water heater was older than time. I mean, like really, really old.
Yeah.
And you just don't play with that because it can flood your house. And ours is in the attic. Isn't that odd? So if it water sprayed down from the attic, it would be bad. I know that's an odd thing to talk about.
No, it's 101, because a lot of times we just go about our business and never think about it till it happens. And we're like, oh, I never thought about that. And then, super sensitive from there on out.
So Gen Z is calling people oomfs, and the oomfs, like OOMF. Forgive me if that sounded like something else.
Right.
And I was like, that's not going to be good. I'm not going to like that. Well, that's just another word for friend. I'm trying to keep up with this sort of thing.
No.
My oomph did this. Okay.
Well, and I've realized too, especially having, kids in this demographic, they all talk in emojis, text messages, or a Snapchat filter, or abbreviations, or some kind of acronym. So we have to keep up if we want to be able to communicate with our own children, let alone anybody that's, around us of that generation.
Well, and they know you're over 30 if you use punctuation in your texting. So I have started not to, which feels like an emptiness. Yeah. A nerdy person has a problem when there's not a period at the end of the sentence.
Okay, so here's a question, because I'm calling myself out. When you do speak to text, do you use your punctuation? So do you say, I love you, exclamation point? Like, so
no,
that it... No?
Do you do that?
Oh, yeah.
That's cute.
Because I try to be grammatical. I don't have the greatest spelling skills, but sometimes, or I'll say, make a list, comma, period. Okay, next break. Like, I try to speak out as if I'm typing it. It's like, why don't you just type it, goofy?
Well, that voice system has gotten me into a lot of trouble. It sends stuff I did not say.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of, I don't know, text can be misunderstood.
Sure.
And so I have to really be in a hurry to try to do that because I don't want to be sending something that means something else or that I didn't say at all.
Yeah. So I have the feature on my phone for CarPlay that will read back my texts so I can be hands-free, which is nice, except Siri's tone is never the same as the way that I'm saying it. So I'm like, is the person I'm sending this to going to read it the way she says it or the way that I'm saying it? Like, are they going to know me and know where my inflection is, or is it going to be more readable her way? So then I get nervous. I'm like, should I change it? And then I go, no, don't send, So there's so many moving parts to communication now. I can't keep up.
Well, and Siri's moody. She'll say to Wayne, thank you. How can I help you? And she'll say to me, I think I'm the only one this happens to. She'll go, huh? I'm like, why is Siri saying huh to me?
No, what I do is I pause, I'll get Siri's attention, and then he'll go, like waiting on me to say something. So
it's kind of
it's
not
the
nice.
I don't take it as rude, but I now know that Siri will do that, so I wait for them to go, so that I know that Siri's listening.
See, that was a sweet my Siri's like,
Well, I changed the voice. Up. Yeah, I changed the voice on my Siri to sound like a British butler. So, it's, what can I do for you today, sir? That's a terrible accent. I apologize for anyone who has one. That's about as close to my emulation as I can get.
Well, I can chillax from all of that worry about Siri and whatever her mood is and what I'm supposed to text by having a cup of the Roxanne blend of coffee. It is joy and happiness in a cup. It has pecan with a little bit of butterscotch. You're like, wow, Roxanne, but I got to pick it out. Yep. I'm very picky, and wow, is it good? And it's a #1 seller, which makes me so happy at mybrotherscup.com, the Roxanne blend. Why? It's all about Jesus.
I'm still waiting on them to create a candle so that it's the smell of the roast, because a lot of times I let my cup get cold because I'm busy smelling it. And then I should probably drink this while I'm holding it. But yeah, it's amazing. So you want to make sure you get it in time for the holidays. Go ahead and place your order. Go to mybrotherscup.com or go to our website, roxanneandace.com.
There is a viral trend. Now, you got to have some guts to do this trend. ChatGPT, I know you've played with this a lot, Ace, and you've gotten to really know it. But there is a new challenge. What you do is you feed it your profile on any of your social media, your little profile that says something about your life and shows your picture. And what it does is it shreds your insides out. It tells you what it thinks you're all about. Here are some of the examples. I'm guessing you spend more time flexing in front of mirrors than actually exploring your city.
Nope.
And then they called the guy a beefcake sensation.
I would take that as a compliment. If AI can actually make that kind of conscious decision about me, and maybe I am, I don't know.
The other one, your feed is like a bad breakup between Tumblr and Instagram, except they both lost the fight. Maybe turning on a light and smiling once.
I can put up with a lot of things from AI, but one thing I cannot is judging me. You do not get, just back that up.
Well, and it will go into your midlife crisis. It will talk about your wrinkles, which would not be a good day for me. I don't want to throw my phone, but I might have some. I don't want to see them and I don't want to hear about them. But here's the thing. If you want it to roast you, which, what it should do is the opposite. It should compliment.
Yeah. Tell me I'm pretty. Take me to dinner. That's what I want. I don't need you to tell me, well, looks like you need to shave a few more days of the week. I mean, Buy your own razor, chat.
Yeah. So if you want to do that, you download the app, you go to the instant guru section, then you upload all of your things that it can make fun of. You tell it to roast my feed in one paragraph, it will, and then get set for it to tell you some awful truth.
And see, and you and I have talked about this. Words are heavy. So even if you start down a road that sounds fun, it could linger in your head. Well, ChatGPT thinks da-da-da-da-da. Maybe that's true. They don't have any emotions, so maybe it's real. Maybe I really am this way. Like, if we don't want AI to take over, don't let them inside your head, because it's all because when we give people permission to mistreat us, they will.
Ooh.
So I'm not giving AI permission to mistreat me. Joke or no joke.
It's supposed to be funny, but wow, a part of you, really. I think some of it would amuse me, and some of it I'd be like, well, there's some truth to that. Imagine me on pink hair day or spiked hairdo or bad mood day, which is rare, but I might have one. What's it going to say?
Right. I know I have a crazy eyebrow. I wear fedoras every day, and it ain't none of your business.
Roxanne and Ace Unlimited, welcome to the show. You know what? When you can take your misery and turn it into ministry that affects thousands and thousands all around the world, that is a very big deal. You know, a lot of us went through a lot in 2020, but not like Tara Seahorn. Oh my, what happened with her husband, and the power of prayer is amazing. And so she had to come on the show to tell us all about it. She is part of an incredible book called When We Pray, True Stories of God's Miraculous Intervention. You can find it on Amazon. I'm super proud and excited for it, and I know Ace is too. We welcome to the show Tara Seahorn. Hi there.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. This is such an honor. I appreciate it so much.
So Tara, take us back to 2020 and tell us what happened.
Okay, in 2020, my husband got sick, excuse me, in May, and I was getting to work from home, which was a blessing. So anyway, we got through that, and then December 1st, I had gone to do some things with some friends for Christmas, and there was just something pulling at me like, you shouldn't, but I did. And a little while later, I get a phone call from my son. He's like, Dad fell. And I'm like, at first you're kind of like, okay, well, put a Band-Aid on it. And he's like, no, the medics are here. He has to go to UAB. And so I get home just in time to see him before the ambulance pulled away. And I couldn't go with him because of COVID. And so the next day, that night, the doctor called and he's like, we don't know that he's going to make it. He's got a fractured skull, brain bleed, broken ribs, deflated lung. I mean, it was just terrible listening to all that. And so the next day I went down there, and 61 days we were, on the verge of tracheotomy, ventilators. It was just such a nightmare, but God, every time I would lose hope, he would send somebody. And my husband, his trach bled. They couldn't get the bleeding to stop. They had to go in and do something with his lung to reinflate it. And I'm sorry, it's just, but they I would get in the elevator, and a lady just out of the blue said, Jesus has got you. And then I came out of the cafeteria one day, and a man called me over to him. And I'm just like, I don't know, but he said you're here for your husband, and God told me to talk to you. And so I sat down and talked with him, and there was a white light around him. I know that sounds crazy, but there was a white light around him, and he told me why I was there and that everything was going to be okay, to expect a miracle. He said, God is going to do a miracle and you will see it. And so I was just like, Okay, I really, I knew God had me, but there was just moments of hopelessness and so much prayer. And God, I mean, when He showed up so in such amazing ways. It was just unbelievable that He pulled my husband through it and He got us through it. And I know, people think, why do bad things happen? But bad things do happen. And His word tells us that, He works all things for good that love the Lord. So you just have to love Him, because my husband, I mean, his mind is right. He had no permanent brain damage. He had no permanent damage from broken bones or deflated lungs. And it's just, God is so good. And I want if I could scream it from the rooftop, I would, because never lose hope and never lose faith, because he is good. And he brought my husband through it. And it's just, and the, I remember the first day I went, they told me the room number, but he wasn't there. And he he was in the room next door, but my heart stopped. And there was just so many things that happened that were just God lifting me up and bringing me through it. People saying, telling me Jesus has got me, God's got me. And he's doing great now. And
Mhm.
so I'm still getting to work from home. So if he needs me, I'm here, but he he's doing amazing. So
So let's go back to that man with the white light around him. Was that you being touched by an angel, do you think?
I really do. I really believe it was. I never saw him again after that. And he told me, he says, I've been seeing you, and God told me to talk to you. And he even gave me a prayer cloth that his sister with cancer had made.
Mhm.
And he just told me over and over, expect a miracle, expect a miracle. And I did, and I got one.
So, Tara, was it an instant peace from that conversation forward, or were you still kind of stirring? Because I know the flesh side of most of us would be, oh yeah, right, okay, this stranger telling me they don't know what I'm going through right now.
Right.
But I mean, did just that peace, that Holy Spirit over you?
I would say it was instant, because he knew things that could only be from God. I mean, he knew it was my husband. He knew that we were there because of an accident. I mean, there was things that he shouldn't have known. I mean, short of a name or something. But
Right.
it was it was quite the incredible experience to meet him. And I even had because normally I don't talk to strangers, but I had a peace going over to him and talking to him.
Mm.
And he was just and he handed me that prayer cloth, and he prayed with me right there in the lobby of UAB. And he my husband was supposed to go to a different long-term care unit at Brookwood. And when the doctor told me that with the tracheotomy and the feeding tube, he couldn't stay there at UAB, I lost it. I mean, I just broke down, because he couldn't hardly communicate with the trach and everything. And a few days later, Christmas, she came in there and she said, I'm stealing him. She said, he's staying here at UAB. He's not leaving, and you can stay with him. And I was just like, that right there is a miracle, because the insurance had already cleared him to transfer, and he was supposed to move, and the doctor came back in. And I mean, it was just a Christmas miracle that he was able to stay there. And I stayed with him the whole time. It
You can
was
read more about this incredible miracle story in the new book, One We Prayed, True Stories of God's Miraculous Intervention. Tara Seahorn has been our guest, and you can tell how blessed she's been by our Lord. He's so good, and I'm so thankful for you taking the time to share your story with us.
Oh, I thank y'all so much for giving me the opportunity, and just I hope it encourages people and gives them hope.
All right, we can't get out until we check in on each other's vibes of the week. I take it, Roxanne, you found another book to add to our catalog.
One of my big hobbies is cooking. Yay. Alex Snodgrass, dinner tonight. It's healthy recipes, and you go, oh, healthy, but does it taste good? I've made 3 of the things out of it. My neighbor wrote and said that's the best cookie I've ever eaten out of this book. And today I did the skillet lasagna. You had to sit down and go, wow. The flavors.
Skillet
and so
lasagna?
I'm really excited. I love to cook.
Now, is it different than a normal lasagna? Or is it just like more crispy because of the skillet, or?
Well, it makes it easier because you just build it in the skillet and then you stick the whole skillet in the oven and you break up. You don't have to cook the noodles in advance because you break up the pieces.
Yeah.
And the flavor was extraordinary. And so, so I'm really excited. Plus it was simple and it's healthy. The cookies were almond butter and coconut oil, some of the ingredients, no eggs, no added sugar, and they were actually yummy. So yay.
I love that. Well, I'm vibing on a big announcement for our family. My daughter, Lennon, is engaged. She and Thomas are getting married. He proposed over the weekend. And so, which I kind of knew was coming because when they came for Thanksgiving last year, we had the patio talk, and he asked for Lennon's hand and I knew that was coming too. So I'd kind of prepared in my head a little bit of what I wanted to say. I barely remember much of what it was, so I'm sure I'll repeat it in the wedding toast. But they're planning for April of 2026. So it'll be Easter weekend and, they're in love and, it's great. I mean, the cool thing that I will say, they're taking their time in they were friends first, then they started dating. They've been dating a while. And then they're planning to take a good, decent engagement period. And, and so they're not rushing. Of course, as soon as I get done talking to her, like within an hour, she's like, I called Shammy, which is my mom. She goes, and she says she's ready for great grandkids. I'm like, don't listen to your grandmother. Don't do that. She's like, we're not, we're good. I was like, Mom, chill. But so congratulations to my daughter. She's, my firstborn. So, my daddy heart's got at least a year plus to prepare for that, giving away and all of those things. And I'll be a basket case. The show the week after that wedding, I'll be like, welcome to Roxanne and Nathan. I'll be gone. So there you go.
That's wonderful news. Because you liked him. Right.
I do. Thomas is a good guy. He loves her a lot. And the thing is, Lennon is a lot like me. So all the things that she and I are alike, good, bad, and ugly, he loves all those things about her. So he and Tawny get along really well because they know what they're up against. And then we all just really get along. Like we like a lot of the same things and they're music inclined. And so it's good. I will say I'm very blessed that my adult daughters are in good, healthy, godly relationships. And that's all you can ask for, right? I was there to raise them, and now, it's somebody else's responsibility. So, which is crazy to think about, I mean, the whole handing, giving their hand in marriage, and having 3 daughters. I got to do it a couple more times. So anyway, but needless to say, it is what it is. But so glad to share that with our audience. And we've got other great things that we're going to be able to share with you in the coming weeks. So make sure you like, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss out. Thanks to My Brother's Cup and Birmingham Mortgage Group for being a part of this week. And Tara Seahorn for joining us as well. Roxanne, I love you.
You've been listening to Roxanne and Ace Unlimited.
Perfect.
To make sure you don't miss future shows, you can subscribe anywhere you like to podcast and catch up on anything you've missed. Find out more at roxanneandace.com. Roxanne and Ace Unlimited is a production of Spacebird Media.